Zentar stared at the scanning screen with his 4 purple eyes. Something was coming toward their space station. The object moved slowly through the dark space around the big gas planet. It looked strange, very strange. "Dr. Zelhan, come look at this," Zentar called out. His voice made a soft whistling sound like wind through leaves. That was how his people talked. The insect-like scientist hurried over on her 6 thin legs. Her big compound eyes reflected the screen's light. "What is it, communications officer?" "A ship. But not like any ship I have seen before." Zentar pointed at the screen with one of his long, thin fingers. "Look at the design. It is so crude." Dr. Zelhan's antennae twitched as she studied the data. Metal plating. Fusion drives that look very old. And are those kinetic weapons? "I think so." Zentar felt confused. Most ships in the galaxy used energy weapons or shields. Kinetic weapons were ancient technology. Who still uses metal bullets in space? Wispovoid floated over to them. The gas form being had no solid body, just a cloud of glowing particles that could think and speak. "Perhaps a very young species," Wispovoid said in a voice like distant thunder. "We should follow first contact rules." Zentar nodded. He had done this many times before. New species found space travel every few years. Most were friendly. Most came from safe, warm planets with light gravity and lots of plants. Most were easy to help join the Galactic Council. "Send them the standard greetings," Zentar said. "Let them know we are peaceful. Ask them to dock with our station." Dr. Zelhan prepared the translation computers. The machines would learn the new language quickly. "Their communication system is very basic," she said. "But it works." The strange ship sent back a message. The translation appeared on their screens. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth Exploration Service. We come in peace, but we are armed and ready to defend ourselves if necessary." The 3 aliens looked at each other. While Dr. Zelhan and Zentar looked at each other, Wispovoid just dimmed his glow, which meant he was thinking hard. "Strange greeting," Zentar said. "Most species just say hello and ask for help." "They mention weapons right away," Dr. Zelhan added. "That is unusual." Wispovoid floated higher. "Perhaps their planet has dangers we do not understand. Some worlds have storms or big animals." Zentar sent back a friendly message. "Welcome, travelers from Earth. We are the Galactic Council. We help new species learn about the galaxy. Please dock at Port 7. We mean no harm." The human ship moved toward their station. Zentar watched it get closer. The ship looked like it was built for fighting. Thick armor covered every surface. Small weapon ports lined the sides. Even the windows looked like they could stop explosions. "Interesting design choices," Dr. Zelhan said. "Very focused on survival." "Most species build ships for comfort and speed," Zentar agreed. "These humans build ships like fortresses." The ship docked with a loud clang that shook their station. Zentar had never felt a docking that rough before. Usually ships connected so gently that no one even noticed. "I think they are stronger than most species," Wispovoid observed. Zentar checked the docking port sensors. Everything was secure, but the human ship had definitely hit harder than normal. "Their ship is also much heavier than it looks," he said. "Very dense materials. Should we worry?" Dr. Zelhan asked. "No," Zentar said quickly. "All species are different. These humans are probably just careful." But inside, Zentar felt a small worry growing. Something about these humans seemed different from other new species. Most new species were excited and scared and grateful all at once. These humans sounded ready for trouble. The airlock opened. Zentar adjusted his translator and put on his best welcoming expression. His people had no teeth, so smiling meant making their eye stalks curve upward. 3 humans walked through the airlock. Zentar immediately noticed several things that surprised him. First, they were big. Not just tall, but thick with muscle. They moved like they weighed much more than they looked. Second, they walked with confidence. Most new species stumbled in the station's light gravity. These humans moved like they owned the place. Third, they wore clothes that looked like armor. Not battle armor, but thick, tough materials that could protect them from many things. The first human stepped forward. She had short dark hair and steady eyes. "I am Captain Sarah Chen," she said. "Thank you for meeting with us." Behind her stood 2 other humans. One was clearly a soldier. He had muscles that looked like they could bend metal bars. The other was smaller but moved with the same confident energy. "Welcome to Monitoring Station K442, Zentar said. "I am Communications Officer Zentar." This is Dr. Zelhan, our science specialist, and Wisp Void, our cultural expert. Captain Chen looked around the docking area. Her eyes moved quickly, taking in every detail. She was checking for threats, Zentar realized. Even here in a peaceful meeting, she was ready for danger. Your station is impressive, Captain Chen said. We have never seen technology like this. Most species say that, Dr. Zelhan replied kindly. Space travel is hard. Everyone starts with simple tools. The big soldier human, Sergeant Rodriguez, Captain Chen introduced him, looked at the station walls. These look strong, he said, but they seem thin for a space station. They are very strong, Wisp Void assured him. Made from the best materials in the galaxy. Sergeant Rodriguez nodded, but Zentar saw him tap the wall gently with his knuckle. The sound it made seemed to tell him something. The third human was Dr. Okafor. She carried several devices that looked like scanners and computers. We brought some gifts, she said. Information about Earth and human culture. Wonderful, Dr. Zelhan said. We love learning about new species. As they walked toward the meeting rooms, Zentar noticed more strange things about the humans. They seemed comfortable in the station's temperature, which was set to be cool and pleasant for most species. But infrared scanners showed the humans were much warmer than normal. Their body heat was so high it would be a fever for most beings. They also moved strangely in the light gravity. While most species floated and stumbled, the humans seemed to push themselves down with each step, like they were used to fighting against much stronger gravity. How heavy is your homeworld? Zentar asked as they walked. Earth has standard gravity, Captain Chen replied. 1G. Zentar's translator gave him the numbers. 1G was almost twice as heavy as the galactic standard. These humans had evolved on a world that would crush most species. That must be difficult, Dr. Zelhan said with sympathy. Captain Chen looked confused. Difficult? No, it is just normal for us. They reached the meeting room. As they sat down, Zentar felt that small worry growing bigger. These humans were not like other species. They were too strong, too ready for danger, too comfortable with things that should be hard. But they seemed friendly. Captain Chen smiled when she talked. Dr. Okafor was excited to share information. Even Sergeant Rodriguez, despite looking like he could fight a dozen enemies, spoke politely. Maybe Zentar was worrying about nothing. Maybe humans were just different, not dangerous. He started the standard first contact presentation, explaining how the Galactic Council worked and how new species could join. But as he talked, he kept thinking about that rough docking, those thick muscles and the way the humans seemed ready for anything. Something told him this first contact was going to be very different from all the others. The meeting room felt warm to Dr. Zelhan. Too warm. She checked the temperature controls twice, but they showed normal settings. The problem was not the room. The problem was the humans. Heat poured off them like small suns. Their skin glowed bright orange in her infrared vision. Any other species would be dying from such high body temperature. The humans acted like nothing was wrong. Please sit anywhere you like, Zentar said, trying to sound normal. Captain Chen took a chair that groaned under her weight. She was not fat, but somehow much heavier than she looked. Dr. Okafor sat nearby, unpacking her equipment. Sergeant Rodriguez remained standing near the door. Is he guarding the exit? Wisp Void asked quietly. I can hear you, Sergeant Rodriguez said with a small smile. And yes, I watch the exits. Old habit. Dr. Zelhan started her medical scanners. Standard procedure for first contact was to learn about the new species' biology. The results that came back made her antennae curl with shock. She said, looking at her screens. I think my equipment is broken. What is wrong? Zentar asked. Dr. Zelhan pointed at the readings. It says these humans have poison in their blood. Lots of different poisons, but they are not sick. Captain Chen looked interested. Poisons? Like what? Alcohol, caffeine, nicotine traces, several plant toxins, heavy metals. Dr. Zelhan read the list with growing alarm. Any one of these would kill most species. Dr. Okafor laughed. Oh, those are not poisons to us. Well, they are, but in small amounts our bodies handle them fine. Alcohol comes from fruit.
Caffeine is in coffee. We drink it to wake up.
The plant toxins are from spices we put in food. You eat poison for taste. Wisp Void's glow flickered with confusion. Capsaicin from peppers, mostly, Dr. Okafor explained. It makes food more interesting. Dr. Zelhan ran more scans. The bone density readings made no sense. Your skeletons are incredibly thick, she said. And your muscle mass. How do you even move? We exercise regularly, Sergeant Rodriguez said. Have to stay in shape. But your muscles are denser than anything in our medical databases, Dr. Zelhan protested. What kind of exercise could create this? Sergeant Rodriguez thought for a moment. Basic training includes running with heavy packs, lifting weights, fighting practice. Normal stuff. Dr. Zelhan's translator struggled with some of the words. Fighting practice. Why would anyone practice fighting? Zentar was looking at atmospheric readings from the human ship. Your ship's air has 21% oxygen, he said. That is correct, Captain Chen replied. But that is toxic to most species. Oxygen burns. Anything over 15% is dangerous, Captain Chen frowned. Really? We find 21% to be normal. Good for thinking and working. The three aliens exchanged worried looks. These humans breathed poison air, had poison in their blood, and weighed twice as much as they should. And they called it normal. Tell us about Earth, Wispovoid said, trying to sound casual. What is your home world like? Dr. Okafor's eyes lit up. She loved talking about home. Earth is beautiful. We have many different environments. Oceans, mountains, deserts, forests, ice caps. How many different climates? Dr. Zelhan asked. Oh, dozens. Maybe hundreds if you count all the small variations. Temperature ranges from -40 to +50 Celsius. The aliens stared. Most planets had one climate. Maybe two. And how many species live on Earth? Centaur asked. Dr. Okafor thought for a moment. Well, we have cataloged about 8 million species, but we think there might be twice that many we have not found yet. Dr. Zelhan's equipment made error sounds. 8 million? That cannot be right. Most worlds have 200 or 300 species. Earth has lots of life, Dr. Okafor said proudly. Millions of insects, hundreds of thousands of plants, thousands of mammals and birds and fish. Any large predators? Wispovoid asked carefully. Oh yes. Bears, lions, tigers, sharks, crocodiles, wolves. Dr. Okafor counted on her fingers. Many others. Some are quite dangerous. Dangerous how? Dr. Zelhan asked. They hunt other animals for food. Including humans sometimes. The room went very quiet. Other animals hunt you? Zentar asked slowly. Well, they used to. We are pretty good at avoiding them now, or scaring them away. Sergeant Rodriguez spoke up. Some predators still cause problems. Bears in camping areas, sharks near beaches, but we handle it. How do you handle giant predators? Wispovoid asked. Depends on the situation, Sergeant Rodriguez said. Sometimes loud noises scare them. Sometimes you have to fight back. Dr. Zelhan felt faint. You fight animals that hunt you? If we have to, Captain Chen said. Humans are not the biggest or strongest animals on Earth, but we are smart. We use tools. We work together. Dr. Zelhan ran a new scan focused on stress responses. The readings made her stumble backward. What is it? Centaur asked. Their stress chemistry, Dr. Zelhan whispered. When they feel threatened, their bodies produce combat drugs. Natural combat drugs, and what kind of drugs? Wispovoid asked. Dr. Zelhan read from her screen. Adrenaline, noradrenaline, cortisol. These chemicals would make most species panic and collapse. But in humans, they help us think faster and move quicker, Dr. Okafor finished. Very useful in emergencies. You think better when you are afraid? Centaur asked. Fear sharpens the mind, Captain Chen agreed. Makes us more careful and creative. The aliens looked at each other with growing alarm. Most species became stupid when scared. These humans became smarter and stronger. Dr. Okafor, Wispovoid said carefully. What do humans do for entertainment? Many things. Sports, music, art, reading. What kind of sports? Dr. Okafor smiled. Running, swimming, climbing. Team sports like football and basketball. Fighting sports like boxing and martial arts. Fighting sports? Dr. Zelhan asked weakly. People fight each other for fun, Sergeant Rodriguez explained. With rules, of course. It is good exercise. You fight for fun, Zentar repeated slowly. Sure. Want to see some basic moves? Sergeant Rodriguez asked. Before anyone could answer, he dropped into a fighting stance. His movements were fluid and quick. He threw a few punches at the air fast enough to make whooshing sounds. The demonstration lasted only 10 seconds. But when Sergeant Rodriguez stepped back, there was a crack in the floor where his foot had been. The three aliens stared at the crack. The floor was made from the strongest materials in the galaxy. Nothing should be able to damage it without tools. Sorry, Sergeant Rodriguez said, noticing their expressions. I forgot how light the gravity is here. Did not mean to push so hard. Dr. Zelhan ran new calculations in her head. If the gravity here was light for humans, then Earth's gravity was incredibly heavy. If Sergeant Rodriguez could crack their floor by accident, what could humans do when they were really trying? Perhaps we should take a break, Zentar suggested. His voice was shaking slightly. Good idea, Captain Chen agreed. This has been very interesting. We have learned a lot about galactic civilization. As the humans left for guest quarters, the three aliens sat in shocked silence. Dr. Zelhan, Wispovoid said finally, what is your professional opinion? Dr. Zelhan looked at her readings again. Heat tolerance that would kill most species. Poison resistance that made no sense. Bone and muscle density beyond anything in the databases. Stress responses that made them more dangerous instead of less. I think, she said slowly, we have made a terrible mistake. What kind of mistake? Zentar asked. Dr. Zelhan pulled up the planetary classification system. She typed in Earth's gravity, atmosphere, temperature range, and biodiversity numbers. The computer thought for a long moment. Then it displayed a result that made all three aliens very quiet. Earth classification, Class 12. Deathworld. Warning. Extreme caution advised. Species from Class 12 worlds may be incompatible with standard galactic civilization. Oh, Zentar said softly. Oh no. Station Commander Threxall read the report 3 times. Each time it seemed more impossible. Class 12 Deathworld, he said aloud. His species had no lips, so the words came out as clicks and whistles. Are you certain? Dr. Zelhan nodded with all 4 of her heads. The computer checked the data 5 times. Earth is more dangerous than 99.7% of all known worlds. Threxall's shell turned a darker blue, which meant he was thinking hard. As station commander, he had met hundreds of new species. None had ever come from a Class 12 world. What do we know about Class 12 worlds? He asked. Wisp of void dimmed to a soft glow. Very little. Most species that evolve on such worlds never develop space travel. They are too busy surviving. But these humans did develop space travel, Zentar pointed out. What does that mean? Threxall did not answer. He was already sending messages to Galactic Council headquarters. This situation was beyond his authority. While they waited for instructions, Threxall decided to run standard assessment tests on the humans. Every new species took these tests. They measured intelligence, strength, and social behavior. The tests were designed to be challenging but not impossible. Bring the humans to Testing Bay 3, Threxall ordered. We will start with basic assessments. Captain Chen and her team arrived an hour later. They looked relaxed and curious. Sergeant Rodriguez was eating something from a small package. What is that? Dr. Zelhan asked, pointing at the food. Trail mix, Sergeant Rodriguez replied. Nuts, dried fruit, chocolate. High-energy food for hiking. Dr. Zelhan scanned the food with her medical equipment. Her antennae began twitching rapidly. That has enough concentrated energy to power a small vehicle, she said. Really? Sergeant Rodriguez looked at the package. Huh, I just thought it tasted good. Threxall cleared his throat. Captain Chen, we would like to conduct some standard tests. They help us understand new species better. Of course, Captain Chen said. What kind of tests? First, a navigation challenge. You will need to move through a zero-gravity obstacle course. Threxall led them to a large chamber filled with floating platforms, moving barriers, and changing gravity fields. The course was designed for species that could fly or float naturally. Most newcomers found it very difficult. The goal is to reach the green platform at the far end, Threxall explained. Take as much time as you need. Captain Chen studied the course for 30 seconds. Then she pushed off from the starting platform. What happened next amazed every alien watching. Captain Chen moved through the zero gravity like she was born in space. She pushed off walls at exactly the right angles. She spun around obstacles with perfect timing. When gravity fields tried to pull her off course, she used them to move faster. Other species took hours to complete the course. Captain Chen finished in 8 minutes. How did you do that? Threxall asked. 3-dimensional thinking, Captain Chen replied. All humans learn to judge distances and angles. We climbed trees as children. What are trees? Dr. Zelhan asked. Large plants that grow 50 meters tall. Children climb them for fun, the alien stared. 50-meter plants that children climbed for fun? Next test, Threxall said weakly. The second test was a logic puzzle. Dr. Okafor had to solve mathematical problems while being exposed to mild environmental stress. The chamber gradually became hotter, colder, and more humid. Lights flashed at random intervals. Loud sounds played without warning. The aliens designed this test to be barely tolerable. Most species could only focus for a few minutes before the stress became too much. Dr. Okafor solved all the puzzles in 20 minutes. She seemed to enjoy the challenge. "The temperature changes helped me think," she said afterward, "and the loud sounds reminded me of working in university laboratories." "Environmental stress helps you think better?" Threxel asked. "Some stress is good," Dr. Okafor agreed. "It keeps the mind sharp." Threxel was beginning to understand why these humans came from a death world. They had evolved to thrive under conditions that would destroy other species. "Final test," he announced. The third test was supposed to be a simple technology demonstration. Each species showed their basic tools and explained how they worked. It was usually very boring. Halfway through Dr. Okafor's presentation about human computers, alarms started ringing throughout the station. "Reactor breach in Section 7, an automated voice announced. "All personnel evacuate immediately." Threxel felt panic rising in his chest. Reactor breaches were every space station's worst nightmare. Section 7 was far from the escape pods. "Anyone there would be trapped. Everyone to the escape pods," Threxel ordered. This is not a drill. But the humans did not run toward the escape pods. Instead, they ran toward the reactor section. "Where are you going?" Xantar called after them. "To help," Captain Chen shouted back. "How many people are in Section 7? 12, Threxel replied automatically. "But you cannot help them. The radiation will kill you." "We will see about that," Sergeant Rodriguez said. The humans disappeared down the corridor leading to Section 7. Threxel watched them go with horror. In a few minutes, there would be 3 dead humans and a reactor breach that could destroy the entire station. But 20 minutes later, the alarms stopped. 40 minutes after that, Captain Chen's voice came over the communication system. "Station Commander, this is Captain Chen. Reactor breach is contained. All personnel in Section 7 are safe." Threxel could not believe it. How is that possible? Sergeant Rodriguez went outside to repair the external cooling system. Dr. Okafor rerouted power through backup systems. I helped coordinate the evacuation. Sergeant Rodriguez went outside? Into space. Yes, sir. The cooling pipes were damaged by debris. Someone had to fix them manually. Threxel rushed to the reactor section. What he found there would give him nightmares for years. The reactor room was a mess of twisted metal and sparking electronics. But it was stable. The humans had somehow repaired systems that the station's best engineers said were impossible to fix. More shocking was the security footage of Sergeant Rodriguez working outside the station. He had put on a basic EVA suit and gone into the vacuum of space. For 2 hours, he had worked with simple tools to repair the cooling system. The footage showed him moving through space like he was walking in a park. When pieces of debris came at him, he caught them or knocked them away. When his safety line broke, he used pieces of the station's hull to pull himself back. Most species could not survive in vacuum for more than a few minutes, even with protection. Sergeant Rodriguez had worked there for 2 hours and came back asking if anyone wanted coffee. "This is impossible," Dr. Zelhan whispered as she watched the footage. The external temperature was -200 degrees. Wisp Void added. "The radiation levels would kill most species instantly. How did you do this?" Threxel asked Captain Chen. "Teamwork," she replied, "and good training. The Earth Space Force teaches us to handle emergencies." "What kind of emergencies?" Threxel asked, though he was afraid of the answer. "Reactor problems, hull breaches, system failures, solar storms, asteroid strikes." Captain Chen counted on her fingers. "The usual things that can go wrong in space." Dr. Okafor nodded. "Plus natural disasters on Earth. Earthquakes, hurricanes, volcanoes, floods, fires." "Your planet has all of those disasters?" Dr. Zelhan asked. "Earth is very active," Dr. Okafor said. "Always something happening. That is why we learn to adapt quickly." Threxel felt a chill run through his shell. These humans lived on a world where disasters happened regularly. They had learned to see deadly emergencies as routine problems to solve. The reactor breach had been a real crisis. The kind of emergency that destroyed space stations and killed everyone aboard. The humans had treated it like a minor repair job. "Captain Chen," Threxel said slowly, "how long did your people take to develop space travel?" About 100 years from first flight to interstellar travel, Captain Chen replied. Why? Most species took thousands of years to reach the stars. They developed slowly, carefully, with many mistakes and delays. These humans had rushed from flying machines to starships in a single century because they were used to solving impossible problems under deadly pressure. Threxel realized that the galaxy had seriously underestimated these newcomers. They were not just another species to guide and welcome. They were something entirely new, something that might change everything. The emergency session of the Galactic Council High Command met in the Great Crystal Chamber on Nexus Prime. Representatives from 47 species gathered around the central hologram display. The image showing was Earth, a blue and green world that looked deceptively peaceful. High Counselor Veltar of the Ethereal Collective called the session to order. Her voice echoed through translation devices in dozens of languages. We are here to discuss the human situation, she announced. Station Commander Threxal will present his findings. Threxal's image appeared in the center of the chamber. Even through the hologram, his shell looked darker than usual. Honored counselors, he began, we have encountered something unprecedented. The humans are from a Class 12 death world. They are unlike any species we have met. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Many counselors had never heard of a Class 12 world producing intelligent life. Explain their capabilities, ordered General Crixvan of the warrior caste. Threxal activated a data display. Physical strength 5 times galactic average. Bone density 3 times normal. Heat tolerance beyond our measurement scale. They breathe atmosphere that would poison most of us. Surely they cannot be that different, said Counselor Yathami of the Garden Worlds. All intelligent life follows similar patterns. Respectfully, Counselor, that is incorrect. Threxal showed footage of Sergeant Rodriguez working in space. This human repaired our station's exterior systems while exposed to vacuum and radiation. He worked for 2 hours in conditions that would kill most of us in minutes. The chamber fell silent as they watched the footage. Their planet has millions of species, Threxal continued, including large predators that hunt humans. The humans evolved by fighting for survival every day. Dr. Zelhan's image joined the presentation. My medical scans show they carry multiple toxins in their bloodstream. Substances that would be deadly to us are normal for them. What about their technology? Asked Chief Engineer Malden. Crude but effective, Threxal replied. They solved our reactor crisis in 47 minutes. Our best teams estimated 6 hours minimum for the same repairs. High Counselor Veltar raised a glowing appendage for silence. What threat level do they represent? General Crixvan activated his own analysis systems. I have run combat simulations based on the observed data. The results are concerning. A new hologram appeared showing battle scenarios. Human figures move through the displays with terrifying efficiency. Their physical capabilities make them natural warriors, General Crixvan explained. But more dangerous is their psychology. They thrive under stress. They think clearly during crises. They work together under pressure. Most species panic when threatened, added Dr. Zelhan. Humans become more focused and creative. Counselor Yathami's flower petals closed in worry. What are their intentions? They claim to be peaceful, Threxal said. And their behavior supports this. But they are ready for violence if necessary. Ready how? General Crixvan asked. Every human carries multiple weapons, not energy weapons, kinetic projectile devices. Ancient technology, but very effective. They also know hand-to-hand combat techniques that could kill most species. The chamber erupted in worried conversations. Many counselors had never encountered a species that knew how to fight without technology. High Counselor Veltar called for order. We must decide how to handle this situation. I will hear proposals. Counselor Furthek of the Isolationist Coalition stood first. We must contain these humans immediately, quarantine their system, prevent them from spreading into the galaxy. They are too dangerous, agreed Counselor Melyeth. One human damaged our strongest materials by accident. What could thousands of them do intentionally? General Crixvan disagreed. Containment may not be possible. Their technology is advancing rapidly. In 50 years, they may be impossible to stop. Then what do you suggest? High Counselor Veltar asked. Integration, said Counselor Nindar of the Merchant Guilds. Bring them into the council. Give them trade opportunities. Make them partners instead of enemies. Partners. Counselor Furthek's voice rose. With Deathworld predators? Think practically, Counselor Nindar replied. They solved a reactor crisis our best engineers could not handle. They have skills we need. Dr. Zelhan spoke up from the transmission. If I may add something. During our cultural exchange, Dr. Okafor mentioned human history. What about it? She said humans have fought over 200 major wars. But they have been mostly peaceful for the last century. What does that mean? General Krixvan asked. They learned to control their aggressive instincts. They chose peace when they could have chosen conquest. The chamber grew quiet as counselors considered this. High Counselor Veltar asked, What else did they tell you about their history? Dr. Zelhan consulted her notes. They said they have had problems with hunger, disease, and natural disasters. But they work together to solve these problems. They share resources between different groups on their planet. Even when resources are limited? Counselor Nindar asked with interest. Especially then. Dr. Okafor said humans become more cooperative during crises. This was very unusual. Most species became selfish and violent when resources were scarce. General Krixvan brought up a new concern. What if we cannot control them? What if they decide we are a threat? Then we have a problem, admitted High Counselor Veltar. Show me the combat simulations again. The battle scenarios played once more. Human figures moved through the displays like unstoppable forces. They adapted to every situation. They found solutions to every obstacle. In every simulation, they win, General Krixvan said quietly. Even outnumbered 50-1, they find ways to succeed. Counselor Furthek stood again. Then we must act now while we still can. Destroy their system before they spread. Absolutely not, Counselor Yathami said firmly. We are not murderers. The Council does not commit genocide. But if they are truly dangerous, then we find another way. High Counselor Veltar declared, We are civilized beings. We solve problems with wisdom, not violence. The debate continued for hours. 3 main factions emerged. The isolationists wanted to quarantine humanity immediately. Build barriers around their system. Keep them contained forever. The integrationists wanted to welcome humans into galactic society. Guide them carefully. Make them allies instead of enemies. The eliminationists whispered quietly about more permanent solutions. But they did not speak openly. The Council had never authorized genocide. As the debate raged, a new message arrived from Station K442. High Counselors, Threxal's voice interrupted the arguments. The humans have made a request. What do they want? High Counselor Veltar asked. Dr. Okafor wants to share human art and music with us. Captain Chen wants to learn about galactic history. Sergeant Rodriguez asked if we have any good coffee. The chamber fell silent. They want to share art? Counselor Yathami asked. And learn history? Threxal confirmed. They seem genuinely interested in peaceful cultural exchange. Coffee? General Krixvan asked. A caffeinated beverage. Sergeant Rodriguez said our food synthesizers make terrible coffee. Despite the serious situation, several counselors made sounds that might have been laughter. High Counselor Veltar realized something important. While the Council debated treating humans as threats, the humans were acting like curious neighbors. What is your recommendation, Commander? She asked Threxal. Give them a chance, he replied. Yes, they are dangerous. But they chose to help us during the reactor crisis. They could have let us die and taken our technology. Instead, they risked their lives to save us. And if we are wrong about them? Counselor Fairthek asked. Then we deal with that problem when it happens, High Counselor Veltar said. But for now, we watch and learn. The vote was close. 24 for cautious integration, 23 for quarantine. Humanity would be welcomed into the galaxy, but many counselors wondered if they were making a terrible mistake. The alarm that woke High Counselor Veltar was unlike any she had heard before. Not the gentle chimes used for normal emergencies, but a harsh wailing that meant only one thing: the Devourers had returned. She rushed to the emergency command center on Nexus Prime. Around her, counselors from dozens of species gathered with expressions of terror and disbelief. How many ships? She asked General Krixvan. Thousands, he replied, his voice hollow. Maybe tens of thousands. They appeared at the edge of the spiral arm 2 hours ago. The main display showed long-range sensor readings. Dark shapes moved through space in perfect formation. Each ship was the size of a moon. They consumed everything in their path: planets, moons, entire solar systems. The outer colonies are already gone. reported Counselor Firthtek. 17 systems destroyed. They are moving toward the core worlds. High Counselor Veltar felt old. The last time the Devourers had awakened 1,000 years ago, they had consumed half the galaxy before returning to their long sleep. Trillions had died. What do our military advisors recommend? She asked. General Krixvan activated the tactical display. Full evacuation of threatened systems. Retreat to the core worlds. Prepare for siege warfare. How long can we hold out? Based on previous encounters, 6 months. Maybe less. The chamber filled with despair. Evacuation meant abandoning billions of people. The core worlds could not support the entire galactic population. There must be another way, Counselor Yathami said. Previous strategies have all failed, General Krixvan replied. The Devourers adapt to every weapon we use. They learn from every tactic we try. Running and hiding is our only option. What about calling for help from outside the galaxy? Suggested Counselor Nindar. The nearest allied civilizations are millions of light years away, General Krixvan said. Even if they received our message and responded immediately, help would not arrive for centuries. High Counselor Veltar was about to order the evacuation when a new voice spoke up. Excuse me, but may I make a suggestion? Everyone turned. Captain Chen stood in the doorway of the command center. Somehow the human had gained access to the most secure facility in the galaxy. How did you get in here? General Krixvan demanded. I asked politely. Captain Chen replied. Your security systems are very good, but they are designed to stop people who follow rules. Several counselors started to object, but High Counselor Veltar held up a glowing appendage for silence. You said you had a suggestion, Captain Chen. Yes, ma'am. I have been studying your tactical data on these Devourers. With your permission, I would like to review the historical records. Why? General Krixvan asked suspiciously. Because you are thinking about this problem like civilized people, Captain Chen said. Sometimes you need someone from a death world to find a different approach. High Counselor Veltar made a decision that would change galactic history. Show her everything. For the next 6 hours, Captain Chen studied every piece of data about the Devourers. Battle reports, technical analyses, psychological profiles. She asked hundreds of questions. Dr. Okafor and Sergeant Rodriguez joined her. Soon all 3 humans were working together, talking in rapid bursts of their native language. Finally, Captain Chen looked up from the data displays. I think I see the problem, she said. What problem? General Krixvan asked. You have been fighting them like they are an enemy army, but they are not soldiers. They are an adaptive system. You keep trying the same basic strategy over and over. What strategy? High Counselor Veltar asked. Hit them with your strongest weapons. When that fails, hit them with stronger weapons. When that fails, run away. General Krixvan's crest bristled with anger. What else can we do? They adapt to everything. Captain Chen smiled. It was not a nice smile. You used their adaptation against them. She activated the tactical display and began drawing diagrams. The Devourers learn from each encounter. They become immune to weapons you use. But what if you deliberately taught them the wrong lessons? Dr. Okafor picked up the explanation. Create a series of fake weaknesses. Make them adapt in ways that actually make them more vulnerable. Use their intelligence against them, Sergeant Rodriguez added. Make them think they are getting stronger when they are really getting weaker. The alien counselors stared at the plan taking shape on the displays. This is devious, Counselor Yathami said. It is psychological warfare, Captain Chen agreed. Humans are good at it. We learned by fighting each other for thousands of years. General Krixvan studied the plan. Even if this worked, someone would have to get close enough to implement it. That would be suicide. Not necessarily, Captain Chen said. It would be very dangerous. But humans are good at dangerous missions. You would lead this yourself? High Counselor Veltar asked. If you authorize it, yes, ma'am. The plan was insane. It required precise timing across multiple star systems. It needed coordination between hundreds of different species who had never worked together before. Most importantly, it required someone to fly directly into the Devourer fleet and survive long enough to plant false information in their adaptive systems. The casualty estimates are enormous, General Krixvan warned. Lower than doing nothing, Captain Chen replied. And there is a chance we might actually win. High Counselor Veltar looked around the chamber. Every face showed the same expression. Desperate hope. Captain Chen, she said formally, The Galactic Council authorizes your plan. What do you need? Every ship you can spare, every weapon you can build, and about 72 hours to coordinate the attack. Done. The next 3 days were chaos. Ships from across the galaxy converged on the front lines. Engineers worked around the clock building specialized weapons designed to teach the Devourers wrong lessons about galactic capabilities. Captain Chen coordinated everything from the command ship UESS Defiance. Her crew worked alongside alien officers who had never imagined cooperating with Deathworld predators. When the final battle began, it was like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships led the first wave, deliberately using weak weapons and obvious tactics. The Devourers adapted quickly, just as expected. They became immune to energy weapons and learned to counter standard fighter maneuvers. The second wave used exactly the technologies the Devourers had just learned to defeat. The mechanical ships destroyed the attacking fleets easily, growing more confident in their adaptive abilities, but they had been taught the wrong lessons. The third wave came from directions the Devourers could not detect, using weapons they had been programmed to ignore, coordinated by species working together in ways that made no logical sense. The battle lasted 18 hours. When it ended, the Devourer fleet was scattered and broken. Their adaptive systems, so intelligent and flexible, had been turned against them. Most importantly, they had learned to fear something they had never encountered before: unpredictable cooperation between species that should have been enemies. The Devourers retreated to the dark spaces between galaxies. They would not return for a very long time. In the aftermath, High Counselor Veltar found Captain Chen in the medical bay. The human was injured but alive. Most of her crew had survived as well. "How did you know it would work?" Veltar asked. Captain Chen was quiet for a moment. "On Earth, we have a saying, 'The enemy of my enemy is my friend.' But humans learned something else too." "What?" "Sometimes the best way to defeat a superior enemy is to make them think like you want them to think." High Counselor Veltar understood. "You knew about psychological warfare because humans fought each other." "For thousands of years," Captain Chen agreed. "We learned every trick, every strategy, every way to make enemies defeat themselves. We got very good at it, and now?" Captain Chen smiled. "Now we use those skills to protect our friends instead of destroying our enemies." 6 months later, the Galactic Council established the Deathworlder Integration Protocol, not to manage human aggression, but to learn from human experience. Station Commander Threxall was promoted to head the new program. His first report contained a single recommendation: the galaxy was not ready for humans. But we needed them anyway. The universe was a dangerous place. It helped to have friends who knew how to fight.